wise man once said, change is the only constant. He must have never had an In-N-Out double-double. 2 classic juicy patties and cheese melted just so. Each consistently delicious because we have consistently high standards. How's that for a change?
Standard high cloud?
Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for.
Here, right? Your cousin from Boston. This here is Sam Adams Boston Lager. It's my go-to beer. Not too heavy, not too light. Oh boy, oh boy. Whoopsie daisy. Oh no. Is there somebody that can help? Come on in the room. It poured right in the keyboard. Relax. I spill beer on my computer all the time. Sam Adams Boston Lager. The Boston Beer Company, Boston, Massachusetts. Drink
by getting everything from endurance rides to restorative yoga, all right at home. The Peloton bike. Nothing like working out from home. Visit onepeloton.com to learn more.
Your new favorite one. How do we do it? With fresh cracked eggs, oven-baked bacon, and flaky croissants. You know, the things your old breakfast wasn't doing. So toss that old news and its soggy eggs somewhere useful. And get to Wendy's, where the sausage, egg, and Swiss croissant, bacon, egg, and Swiss croissant, and honey butter chicken biscuit are just 2 for $4. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's 2 for $4.
Limited time only. Single item. Regular price. Price and participation may vary. U.S. Wendy's.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports. Coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France, of course, you good old boys in Canada and Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south, in the land of the free and the home of the brave and the beautiful. July the 15th, 2021, Grondo Deportes. Bonjour, Big C. The Vidi Vidi Vici. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Oh, Charlton, it's been a warm day. We just been around freewheeling, enjoying ourselves, looking forward to a night without any sports on television. But once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, and first responders. Maybe they can take the night off, too.
They can take the night off, too. You're on your own. You guys who want to defund the police's off-fair level war, I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Also, all around the world, just say Google or Alexa play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic. He'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away. I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon and Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. It's better to have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. Man, I love pausing, Big C, but I'll never pause on our Veterans Crisis Hotline. Also, for anyone watching the Big C Sports Podcast on television, when you go to the iHeartRadio app on Comcast and you pull up the Big C Sports Podcast, you will see a brand new look that they've done for the Big C Sports Podcast, and I'm really, really excited about that as things are growing. Big C, I will never pause on our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Big C is starting to spread from sea to shining sea. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I think a lot of people have always been aware of it. They just did not pay attention as far as mentioning it to others. Word of mouth goes a long way. It's the greatest form of advertising there is.
Yeah.
We give it out every day during our show, Charlton, but as we think about our great military veterans in this country and the plight that many of them have gone through, Charlton, in trying to assimilate back into everyday society, we lose over 24 of those great men and women, Charlton, of the formerly of the armed forces daily to suicide in America, a very horrific disease that really goes under the radar when people think about all the other things that are going on when we got sports back as a distraction in America.
Yep.
when COVID-19 came along, Charlton, and shut down America. It did not shut down suicide, unfortunately,
No.
Charlton. I wish it would have gone away also, but it did not. And we have to pay more attention to that as a society because it hurts so many individuals and family members, Charlton. So let's give out that National Suicide Prevention Hotline number. People in America, think about it. Try to remember it. Give it out. And just ask somebody how they're doing mentally. Don't worry about the physicality of a person.
Yeah.
Find out how they're doing mentally.
Very well said, Big C. I love doing our part. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And you can definitely get some help for our veterans and their loved ones, even if that loved one is you. Also, very happy to be affiliated with Valley, Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, Direct TV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the first place San Francisco Giants and the home run king, as well as a Say Hey Kid. When you reach out to them, just tell them Big C sent you. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this great country to help put people back to work, just like McDonald's does it, car dealerships are doing it, sports teams are doing it. Watch TV and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. Most of our loans are underwritten by Rocket Mortgage, the #1 lender in the country on the wholesale side. Also, I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV, Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe, just like in Genesis 1:3. God said, let there be light. Open your cell phones and all of your electronic devices and say play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see all of our apps pop up all over the world. And I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. And again, I want to give a special thanks to Xfinity Comcast TV because Big C Sports is also available on Roku TV and Fire TV and Amazon TV, all those TV platforms, the Fire Stick, etc. It's all fair at Level War. But if you haven't seen it, Big C, they just redid our television program on Xfinity Comcast TV, and man, it looks really good. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I can't afford cable, so I'll have to Google it somewhere.
Yeah, well, it's all fair. Just go to your neighbor's house like you've been doing over the years. It's all fair. I can afford an Escalade, but I can't afford a cable. It's all fair, Level War. I also want to say this segment is sponsored by Budweiser Zero. 100% on this game and 0% alcohol. It's all fair in Love and War. It goes great with the Big C burger. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. My goodness, I'm telling you, there's so much happening in the world of sports. I saw some great basketball last night. When you think about it, Big C, the NBA basketball, it really is fantastic. We went from 30 teams, and now we're down to 2. We went from 82 games to 72 games. We went to the play-in games. And now we have just 3 games to do what Teddy Pendergrass said, one shiny moment. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is what professionalism comes down to. You know, the best of the best playing at the end of the season, Charlton. I mean, nobody has missed the players that have been there in the past. I mean, this series has had all the enlightenment that any fan would want to see, all the high drama, all the ups and downs, and fantastic plays.
Yeah, it's been something to see. Milwaukee's not a big market. I mean, not compared to Chicago or Detroit. And then Phoenix is not a big market compared to, say, a Los Angeles when you come out to the West. But, you know, it's been some great basketball. I know Chris Paul has a little bit of hitch in his giddy up, and everybody has to just suck it up this time of the year because it's all fair in love and war, and no one cares. Like they say, if you cry in space, no one can hear you scream. That makes sense. Makes your thoughts.
Well, Charlton, I think when it comes to professional sports, the market doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Because the game is broadcast all over the world, so no one's worried about the people that are not in the arena. It's those that are in the arena that count. And then, you know, you got 12 players on each roster that make the difference.
Yeah, it's all fair in love and war. So you have the Phoenix Suns versus the Milwaukee Bucks has become a best-of-3 series. After the most compelling game of the NBA Finals last night, it went really down to the last minute before you felt that the Milwaukee was going to win that game, but there was never really a clear-cut advantage. We're going to start with Game 4. It was a dramatic thriller, Big C, like the great Michael Jackson, Thriller! I can't sing it as high, at least he did. but I love the song Thriller. It was a thriller last night, the best game of the back-and-forth series, in which the home team has won every game, so much for people saying this game's going to be over in 4. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I don't know who said it was going to be over in 4. I thought this would be a dramatic series. I knew that Milwaukee has the physical advantage in this series, and the teams are now split both the home series, Charlton. So
yeah.
I mean, it's down to the best of 3.
Yeah.
And so the next game that's won by one of these teams will have the advantage and most likely will win the series. But this has had all the drama that you would expect in an NBA final.
Yeah, it really has, Big C. And so when you think about it, I love seeing the big on big where Ayton and Giannis went up against each other, King Giannis and King Ayton. But you think about the finals tied at 2 apiece, following Milwaukee's 109-103 Game 4 victory on Wednesday night. And how bad do you want it? I think there's a song, How Do You Want It? How Does It Feel? The great Tupac Shakur, Big C. But how bad do you want it? Giannis Antetokounmpo, King Giannis said, and just leave the game swinging kind of a mentality and try to be aggressive, try to get stops, and try to set screens, Big C. Do everything physically possible to put yourself in a position to win the game. But I also want to credit, Stan Van Gundy doing the broadcast. He said that Giannis had a Big C-style hostility dunk, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you got to have some animosity when you're playing in a championship game, Charlton. This is not about kissing your brother or your sister. This is about going after a foe.
Yeah.
And that's what the Milwaukee Bucks have done, and you think in the past couple of games and coming back home, is that they've exerted their physicality against the Phoenix Suns. And I think it's worn down the Phoenix Suns as you look at their play last night late in the game. I mean, you got Chris Paul being hobbled.
Yeah.
Devin Booker actually fouled out of the game. The officials just chose not to call the 6th foul on him last night, Charlton, to give Phoenix a chance. But this is a game when you had players digging down deep. We've seen a different Middleton once he's gotten back to Milwaukee, showing how bad he really wanted it. The problem with Milwaukee right now is they got to find Holiday a shot.
Yeah.
But he's put so much defensive pressure on Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul is broken down from that.
Yeah, Chris Paul. I guess the flopping's not going to work when you're in Milwaukee. That flopping may work when they're back in Phoenix, but it's not working now that they're in Milwaukee. I think the officials, they get graded too, Big C. They want to make sure that whatever they're doing, they're getting the best of the best when it comes to officiating a game. But I tell you what I like about the game. The crowd has been absolutely amazing inside and outside the arena. Also, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, this is what fanfare is. You talk about the size of a market. You don't get crowd activity like that in those markets you talk about being large markets, Charlton. This is reminiscent of what we saw in Toronto a couple of years ago in Jurassic Park. We've seen that in Deer Park down in Milwaukee, where the fans are enlightening and full of electricity, Charlton, in and outside the arena.
Yeah, they really are, Big C. And I tell you, it has almost that college atmosphere. And I've seen it in other cities too, but even being in the Northern California, seeing Golden State in the finals like 5 of the last 7 years, I didn't see that type of outside festivity until the game was over. But you see a lot of that, as you mentioned, in Toronto, also seeing it in Milwaukee. No one's going to be outside.
You think about it, in Milwaukee, they got 25,000 people outside the arena. That's more than the occupancy inside the arena. So when you think about large market versus small market, you're better off as a player being in a small market because the fans appreciate you more. In those large markets, they got their life that they're dealing with. This is a fan-friendly city.
I tell you, there's an appreciation of the big men, whether it was a Kareem going up against Chamberlain, Big C, or even, just seeing, we don't see that too much. I mean, what I saw last night was these 2 young guys. Of course, Ayton's a little bit younger. But I know a lot of people were saying Ayton shooting like 70% in the paint. But against Giannis, he's not so intimidating, Big C. Giannis's block on DeAndre Ayton, the alley-oop dump attempt, Big C, it draws comparison to LeBron James, King LeBron James, his block of Andre Iguodala in Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals. That was over in Oakland at Oracle, Big C. And then you think about time and circumstances were different. But when you think of King Giannis, the block with 1:14 remaining in the game that actually prevented Phoenix from tying the score at 1-1. I still think LeBron's block was bigger because it won Game 7, but this was just fantastic. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if LeBron's block was bigger. LeBron's block got that name because of LeBron. That was it. But when you think about what Giannis did last night in his block against Ayton, The one that LeBron had, he had an opportunity to gauge Iguodala going down the floor.
Yeah.
And he's actually taller than Iguodala, so it was a very easy thing, and Iguodala had to avoid another player.
Yeah.
But when you look at what Giannis did last night, Giannis had to switch off of covering Booker.
Yeah.
Booker made a pass to Ayton on a lob, not where he took the ball to the floor and then brought it back up.
Yeah.
This was a lob. So you think about, he had his back turned to Ayton, and he had the athleticism and the whereabouts to turn around in mid-air and go up and block the shot. Not of a 6'5", 6'6" guy, Charlton, but of a 7-footer guy who could actually look down at the rim when he fully extends himself on a leap.
Yeah.
So I have to give it to Giannis because of the athleticism and presence that it took to switch off a man that he was guarding who made the pass and then turn and block the ball of the shooter. And I'll even go one better than that. The block that Bam Adebayo had last year on Jason Tatum, I put that ahead of LeBron's dunk. Everybody will say LeBron's block because it was in the finals.
Yeah.
But Bam Adebayo's block on Jason Tatum last year against Boston by Miami to get them into the finals, Charlton, there were 2 blocks better than LeBron's dunk.
Yeah.
Block, rather.
Yeah, it's all fair and love and war, but LeBron's did lead to a championship. We'll see. Bam's didn't, and we don't know what's going to happen with Giannis. But when you think about Giannis, this guy was much maligned coming into the playoffs. People just didn't like him. Milwaukee was a number 4 seed. He's a defending 2-time NBA champion. He's the MVP of the league, but never won a championship. Don't even know if they're going to win a championship this year. But what a sea change has been with the great King Giannis Antetokounmpo, because everybody now, they get to see him without a lot of the distractions. And again, no matter how people love or hate King Giannis Antetokounmpo, that good boy had an injured knee in the last series, and now you wouldn't even know it, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this is the magic of modern medicine, Charlton, how players can come out and perform. You can get 24-hour treatment now on your knee. You have a full-time medical staff that makes sure you're always game ready.
Yeah. I got to ask you because I saw the movie. It was I've watched it so many times, but it had Thanos, the Avengers, Big C. He would snap his fingers in, boom, he would destroy planets and all that stuff. And Giannis, I feel, Giannis took a lot of kind of ribbing from some of his fellow NBA players. He didn't want to be in LeBron's Space Jam movie, and I guess the rumor has it he didn't want to become friends with someone that he wants to defeat and win a championship. And maybe it rubs some people the wrong way. Giannis is from Greece. He's not from the United States. So he has a different mentality, and he didn't want to do what a lot of other NBA players do from different teams. They get together in Southern California, and they're working their skills. Giannis like, no, I don't want to work out with you guys. I want to compete against you guys. And now that attitude has them. It says they need 2 out of 3 wins to crown as a championship. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you can see the difference that it makes. All those guys who want to go out and work on a movie versus the guy who did not want to work with him playing in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, very well said. He's focused on his game, like the great late Al Davis said. He told Ronnie a lot. He said, stay focused. It's all fair in love and war. So Giannis delivered that flex and that mean mug to the home crowd. And for all the freaks in the media, you've seen what a king does when he performs at his best. So for all the freaks in the media, you saw how a king performs. And remember that. Call him King Giannis, if that makes sense to you, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm just enjoying the guy play. I call him Giannis. You guys can call him what you want to call him.
Yeah, he's a King Giannis doing his thing. But it's not over yet. Doing that stretch before and just after the King Giannis' block of Middleton scored 10 of Milwaukee's final 12 points. That's called a guy that had a bad leg just a couple of weeks ago, Big C. Scored the 10 of the final 12 points, including 10 consecutive. It was part of a 14-point fourth quarter performance and a playoff career high 40 points when you think about it for Middleton. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Middleton has been the X factor for the Bucks. Every game that he plays well, Milwaukee wins.
Yeah.
They just got to get more consistency out of him. And he showed last night how dominant of a player he could be. When he wants to take over a game, we saw that against Atlanta where he had back-to-back games of 23 in one quarter and 40 in the next game, 20 in the next game in the fourth quarter, Charlton.
Yeah.
He has shown the ability to take over games. And this is what Milwaukee needs if they plan on winning.
Yeah, it's all fair and love and war. It's about home cooking sometimes. Devin Booker scored 38. It was 42 points when you think about it in a loss in Game 4 in the first 3 quarters and 18 in the third quarter alone. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it was a wasted 42 points, Charlton. I mean, we saw that from Giannis in Game 2 of the series when he scored 40 points against Phoenix. in Phoenix. So, 40 points is not going to always get you a victory. You would think so, but Middleton was able to answer him last night. It was the foul trouble that he kept himself in last night that kept him off the floor. Otherwise, he may have scored 50.
Yeah, may have scored 50 points. The great King Giannis Antetokounmpo had a block on Chris Paul late in the fourth quarter. In Game 4, that prevented the Suns from taking a 97-94 lead. Big C was right down to the wire. On the next possession, Pat Connaughton hit a three-pointer and put the Bucks ahead at 97-95. But in the fourth, Milwaukee had to come from behind at home in front of that madhouse of a crowd, and it wasn't really over until maybe the final minute was deciding when they went to the free throw lines. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you win a game, it's winning a game. It doesn't make any difference when it's over, except when the clock runs out of time.
Yeah.
And Milwaukee made sure they had enough to hold on for that victory at home to even up the series. They made the critical plays during that contest, Charlton, when they were called for.
Yeah.
You could see that Phoenix was getting rattled at times throughout the game and saw the frustration coming from the players. But, in the end, Milwaukee kept its composure. I guess they had some ghosts from the past. It was the 50th anniversary of the Milwaukee Bucks' only NBA title, Charlton, and they had that team come in last night that won the game, that championship for the Bucks 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was a great scene in Milwaukee, and it was great for the home crowd.
Yeah, it was great for the home crowd, and it was great for NBA. And you think about that, the state of Wisconsin, I know when you think about how successful the teams have been, Wisconsin University for basketball, of course the Green Bay Packers for football, Milwaukee Brewers for baseball, and now the Milwaukee Bucks. There's a lot of success going on in that state. But I also want to, congratulations to everybody. This series is a best of three now, and best of three, Big C. Momentum matters in race cars. It can also matter in sporting events, but I don't know if it can matter in basketball because you're always changing possession, and you don't get a time off. The guys playing offense or those guys that are also playing defense. Is there a momentum swing that you sense in your fourth, and you use the fourth the way the great Lou Slagwalker did, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, the momentum last night was with the Milwaukee Bucks. They did what they did in crunch time when the game was critically close, Charlton. They were able to hold their composure, something that Phoenix was not able to do. When you saw the whining last night at the officials, Phoenix was doing more of that than Milwaukee was.
Yeah.
So you got to think that mentally Milwaukee has gotten to Phoenix on that level, and now the pressure's on Phoenix in going back home.
Yeah.
Because they have to win.
Yeah.
They have to win at home because they're not going to go back to Milwaukee and win another game.
Yeah, it's like the one. This is why home court advantage matters so much. Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz told us there's no place like home, Big C. The great Chris Middleton, 40 points. Devin Booker, 42 points. Became the fourth pair of opponents, Big C, to each score 40-plus points in an NBA Finals, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, those are rare feats when they happen. Normally you'll get one player dominating a performance. We saw that with Giannis twice in the playoffs. No one from Phoenix duplicated what he did. But we were able to enjoy that last night with Middleton and Booker scoring 40-plus points.
Yeah, and they all enjoy the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. It's all fair and love and war. You think about the three others, though. The great John Havlicek, Big C, and Jerry West. That was in 1969. You have the great Michael Jordan and the Charles Barkley in 1993. And then the great Allen Iverson and the great Shaquille O'Neal. That was back in 2001, Big C. Your thoughts?
Yeah, but when you think about Barkley and Jordan and Iverson, those guys were shooting three-point shots.
Yeah.
When you think about West, Havlicek, and O'Neal, those guys all got theirs the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, and they earned it. It's all fair and level. While the great Devin Booker dropping 42 points. And when you think about it, the third player in NBA history to score 40-plus points 3 times in the first, think about it, in the first postseason. This is not his second or third or fourth. First postseason joining the great Rick Barry 5 times in 1967, and the great Wilt Chamberlain 3 times in 1960. And you know he made a living in the paint, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, he made a living, and Booker is the only one of those three, Charlton, that has the three-point shot in his arsenal to help him get over 40.
Yeah, to help him get over 40. And I think a lot of young players can learn. When you see Giannis block that shot, Big C, on defense and also dominating on offense, he dominates more in the paint. That's just a clue for Phoenix to understand. If this guy's in the paint, it's going to be difficult. You got to get him out of the paint somehow. If you're Milwaukee, you make a living in the paint. You don't make a living outside of the paint. The great Chris Middleton is now tied with King LeBron James with the most game-tying or go-ahead shots in the fourth quarter with 15 and one playoff run in the last 25 seasons. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it took LeBron a dozen shots in the playoffs, Charlton, to get to that point. But when you look at where Middleton is, and he's accomplishing that feat, trying to win his first NBA title, he has showed that he's a bona fide NBA superstar.
Yeah, and again, King Giannis Antetokounmpo. For all the people in Greece, Big C Sports will respect King Giannis' name. He did a little bit of everything, kind of like the Big C burger, but all the exotic meats. Big C, we know it's a tasty burger. Game 4, 26 points. He doesn't have to score 40 to win when you get other people involved, because you're not trying to shoot threes and turn the ball over. 26 points, 14 rebounds. He had 8 assists. He had 3 blocks, actually 3 steals, and he had 2 blocks. That's an all-around better game that's going to 40 and having 7 rebounds and 3 assists. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, that last block was the most critical block on Ayton, Charlton. It eliminated them from being able to tie up the game, and it was a total momentum swing for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, it's all fair in love and war. I mean, I love going down to best of 3, Big C, on points on dunks, as you always talk about. If you're 7 feet tall, you don't have to shoot 4 3. Just get it 3 feet from the basket and turn around and lay it down in the bucket, Big C. Think about this. All you youngsters out there listening and wanting to shoot like Curry and Damian Lillard, they've done it the hard way. They learned it a long time ago. But points on dunks and layups in the 2021 NBA Finals first 4 games. Giannis, 77, Big C, 8 and 33. Lopez, 28. Holiday, 26. Middleton, 17. Chris Paul, 15. Campaign, 15. Booker, 12. Bridges, 12. And Portis, 8. 17 more than Ayton, Chris Paul, and Booker combined. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, that's how Milwaukee has gotten even in this series, as I preached from game 1. They got to go down and pound it in the paint. They have the physicality. If they want to win this series, that's the only way that they're going to win it, dominating in the paint. And the stats don't lie. And the games don't lie.
Yeah.
When you see players in Phoenix getting in foul trouble, and those fouls are generally coming when Milwaukee's down in the paint.
Yeah, down in the paint. And I know there was I was talking with my son about it today, how there was a slow dance. Play another slow dance. This time next week, there was a slow dance, and everyone saw it, but no foul was called. Big C, did you see the slow dance last night? Your thoughts?
No, Charlton, I mean, there was a lot of situations where fouls were not called. I mean,
Yeah.
Devin Booker stayed in the game because there were 3 occasions that officials wouldn't call fouls on him,
Yeah.
and they kept him in the game to keep Phoenix close.
Yeah, they kept him in the game. I tell you, it's all fair and love and war. Phoenix thinks they're getting jobbed. I know, Coach can say that maybe he doesn't want to make it an issue, but sometimes felt that Milwaukee was going to the line more, and maybe they are. And then when they're in Phoenix, Milwaukee feels the same thing, that maybe they're getting jobbed. It's all fair and love and war. But one thing that cannot be disputed, if the closer you play to the basket, the better chance you have at winning. It's all fair and love and war. I wish everybody nothing but the best. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk more about what's going on in the sports universe. In the words of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, we'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. There's so many apps you can follow, and I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. I also want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV, Comcast Spotlight, and Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, let there be light. Open your cell phones and say it. Play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see all of our apps pop up from all over the world, and I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. I also want to say a special thanks to Xfinity Comcast TV, how you've changed the profile of Big C Sports Podcast on Xfinity Comcast television. Big C, I know you may have to steal your neighbor's cable TV, but it looks so professional. It's as if we didn't use crayons this time, Big C.
Well, that's the greatest thing about having a graphics department,
Yeah.
Charlton, that they're able to make stuff look professional.
It looks so good. Everyone, if you have Xfinity Comcast TV anywhere in the world, just click on iHeartRadio app, go to Big C Sports Podcast. You will see how beautiful it is. It looks like the NFL Network that's coming soon for Big C Sports. It's all fair and level. Where I want to close out this thought on basketball because I know there's a lot of good old boys that are probably already back in Phoenix, or they're flying in. They're most likely already in Phoenix in that heat and humidity down looking for the next game. But pro basketball, I want to ask you, which team suffered the more devastating loss last night? Was it the men's, think about it, the men's NBA Olympic team or the WNBA Olympic team? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I would have to say it's the men's Olympic team. If you think about it, they're 1-3 in these tune-up games for the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's going to be devastating when you look at that, Charlton, as the world is caught up with them or the guys are really not interested in playing. You got to decide which one it is. So on the women's side, Charlton, I don't look at that as a devastating defeat because when you think about it, they were playing the WNBA All-Stars.
Yeah.
So you got to say there's 25 great women players somewhere in the United States that play in the WNBA. So they were playing against women of their caliber.
Yeah.
You got to think on the men's side, Charlton, how can the world be as good as the NBA?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Allen Iverson told us a long time ago, I'm talking about practice, man. Practice, I'm talking about practice, and maybe guys look at it as practice. It's all fair and level wear. But I want to tell you what's not practice. Them good old boys that walk the back nine on a Sunday and they're contention to lead at a golf course, it's all because they were playing well game one, day one, day two, they made the cut, and then over the weekend, they decided to climb the chance to win a championship. After Bryson DeChambeau's ripping his driver and then getting ripped back by a representative from Cobra Golf, after his round, DeChambeau, Big C, he's built like a football player, was asked if he actually felt good about his one over par 71 after hitting just 4 of 14 fairways at Royal St. George's, Big C. And he said, that's what I said a couple of days ago. If I can hit it down the middle of the fairway, that's great. But with the driver right now, the driver sucks. Big C, what a sponsor, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, you got to be careful with your words when you got somebody paying you billions of dollars to represent their product. And you're going to go out there and rip their product on national television, Charlton, to the national media, and say, hey, it's that cheap product that they're paying me millions of dollars to use.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be using Cobra after this week, Charlton.
Yeah, your driver sucks. It's all fair in love and war. But thank you for the money, but your driver sucks. But I'll take your check and cash it. So the comment from 8-time, think about this, American, 8-time PGA Tour winner. It drew the ire of Ben Strom, Big C, a tour operations manager for Cobra Golf, who caddied for DeChambeau at the Rocket Mortgage Classic just 2 weeks ago. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, when you got a big mouth, you got a big mouth. And DeChambeau has to think about what he's saying.
Yeah.
Can't be childish when you're a professional.
Yeah, the great Flip Wilson told us, loose lips, they sink sponsorships, if that makes sense to you. Did you like the pun, loose lips sink ships? Loose lips sinking sponsorships? Mix your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think that $2 million may be out of his pocket, too.
Yeah. I'd like to lose $2 million. I don't know. Tell the sponsor they suck. It's all fair in 11 word. Big C will take on the sponsor. It's all fair in 11 word. But really, it's just really a painful when you said something that's silly. He told Golf Week after he was informed Thursday about DeChambeau's comments. But in the defense of Bryson DeChambeau, they say the truth will set you free. Maybe the driver does suck. And maybe they'll take that good criticism and then make the driver suck less or make it better.
Well, maybe if he used less steroids and practiced more on control, he could hit it straight.
Well, I can't confirm or deny. I wasn't there when anybody put anything in their backside. I know people accuse Popeye the Sailor Man of being on some kind of roids. Last I heard, he just ate a lot of spinach. It's all fair in Leavenworth. But everybody's going to figure out if you have sponsorship giving you $2 million, even if you don't like the way their food tastes. It might just be a nice thing to say you like it. It's all fair in Leavenworth. Big C, the pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run! Everybody's hitting home runs, especially in the All-Star Game, the 91st edition. The girls love the long ball, and the men love hit the deep. It's all fair in Leavenworth. But Major League Baseball, for all you baseball aficionados, the second half of the Major League Baseball season has been put on hold. The Yankees, think about it, for everybody that's saying, I don't need a mask, I got my shot, everything's cool. They canceled fans at the Olympics, but the New York Yankees, the post-All-Star break opener against the Boston Red Sox, today, Big C, or tonight supposedly, was postponed because of positive COVID-19 test among New York pitcher Jonathan Lasagna Big C and Nestor Cortez Jr., as well as Wendy Peralta. So everybody's thinking football's coming back. I get to go sit next to my friends in a 70,000 seat stadium or 80,000 seat stadium. And there's a little thing that people are not paying attention to that's put a little team on pause called the Yankees and the Red Sox. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, everybody hasn't had their vaccine. All baseball players have been vaccinated, but you have to wonder who were they hanging around during the All-Star break, Charlton, that exposed them to COVID-19. But, baseball is being put on pause because of this happening to those pitchers. And so they're going to delay the start of Major League Baseball season after the All-Star break.
Yeah, there's a lot more games coming up tomorrow. And again, just don't let your guards down. And you got to keep aware of what you're dealing with. I was at a store just the other day to get some breakfast. I'm not going to lie. I was looking for some fried fish, Big C. There's a store out here that has Southern-style, Louisiana-style deep-fried fish, and the fish tastes so good. So I decided I was going to go get some. But what made me turn away from it is the person preparing the fish, they were preparing the fish with no gloves on their hands, and it turned my stomach, so I went to a gas station where they have even better fried fish, Big C, your thoughts, and they had their hands clean with gloves. Your thoughts?
Well, that's anywhere in food service, Charlton. You got to be careful where you pick up your meal.
Yeah, you got to be careful. That's why when you make the Big C burger, it is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. They're supposed to wear gloves on their hands to keep all the patrons safe. It's all fair and level. But I want to go back to hit deep for Major League Baseball. The rankings in the American League MVP, and again, everybody has their own opinion. There's no person that's any more right than the next person, Big C. But what I love about the Major League Baseball, and we saw this great showing at Coors Field in the beautiful city of Denver. Everybody has their own opinion, but what I'm going to throw out some opinions about who the best players are, and you can give your thoughts. Number one, the great Shohei Ohtani, and he plays for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and that good boy is worth the price of admission, Big C. Your thoughts?
He has been that way this year, Charlton, as good as advertised. I mean, he's done everything that you could ask of a baseball player this season.
Yeah, he really has, and he's not the highest player on their team, but he's definitely worth the admission. Number two, the great Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for Toronto, or is it Buffalo now, but he won the MVP of the 91st All-Star Game, Big C. Your thoughts?
Vlad Jr. is a long tradition, Charlton, a father and son history in Major League Baseball, and he's just the latest. His dad was an MVP when he was in Montreal, and the son is trying to duplicate that in Toronto.
Yeah, he's doing a fabulous job. I think he may have lifted more weights than his dad, Big C, or maybe had more spinners, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, no, he lost weight this year, Charlton. When he lost 40 pounds coming into the season, he changed his body dynamics, and it's paid off on the mound.
Yeah, he looks very svelte, Big C. Number three, Joey Galloway for Texas, National League MVP, Big C. Your thoughts?
Joey Gallo has been outstanding. I mean, he's the go-to guy for the Rangers, Charlton. And when you need the long ball, he can yank it out.
He can do his thing. Hit deep is all fair, level war. Speaking of hitting deep, number one, when you think about National League MVP, the great Fernando Tatis Jr. for the San Diego Padres. He's amazing, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Tatis has been good. He skipped a few games early in the season with an injury, but he's rebounded well.
He has rebounded well. And another man who's going to have to rebound well, but it's going to be in the injured reserve, Big C. Number two, I would have on that list. I know he's injured, so he's not going to make it. But the great Ronald Acuna Jr. for the Atlanta Braves, he has star written all over him. Remind me of the Hammer and Hank, the way he swings the bat. It's amazing. I know he had an injury with his knee, but he's going to be back healthy next year. But he's amazing, Big C. Your thoughts?
He was right in the thick of things, Charlton, and he was the motor for the Atlanta Braves.
He's the motor for the Atlanta Braves. When you think about the AL Cy Young, the guys that can throw the ball like a flamethrower, Big C. Number one, you think about Lance Lynn for the great Tony La Russa, Chicago White Sox. The amazing thing about Lance Lynn, he gets more strikeouts when La Russa is asleep, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you think about the White Sox as a whole, Charlton, they have the best team in baseball, and they're running away 8-game lead in the American League.
Yeah, I've been deciding that I want to do what La Russa. I take more naps every day. I try to take at least a 10-minute nap every day because La Russa does it, and they say it's good for you. Also, Kyle Gibson, number two, for Texas. That good boy down in that heat and humidity is doing his thing, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Texas, they got that new stadium, and they're showing off in front of the fans this year.
Yeah, it's a beautiful stadium showing off in front of the fans deep in the heart of Texas. And when you think about number three on that list, Big C, Carlos Rodon, the Chicago White Sox, And I'm telling you, there's something about that Chicago team. It's like them in Boston and the Oakland A's. I wouldn't be surprised to see those three teams that are making a big noise in the playoffs. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I'm expecting to see the White Sox in the World Series, Charlton. This is a complete baseball team, and they have enough players that are in the hunt for individual titles in their own league.
Yeah, you talk about that Field of Dreams is all fair and level war. The National League Cy Young, the great, he didn't have enough money to rent a private jet for the All-Star game, Big C, but the great Jacob deGrom for the New York Mets. Big C, your thoughts?
As long as he doesn't slip off the mound, Charlton, he'll be the Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah, that's a big task to ask a man not to slip off the mound. It's all fair in love and war. And he might slip because they ruled out Stickum. So how's he going to not slip off the mound, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, they're checking him for foreign substance, Charlton. They got a nice little rosin bag back there behind.
Yeah, they got that rosin bag. Also, Kevin Gossman, Big C, for the San Francisco Giants out here in the city by the bay. Big C, your thoughts?
And they have snuck up on everybody in the NL West, Charlton being the best team out there in California.
The best team in California. If you're going to say California, Big C, you got to say it right, like the former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. California. You'll be back in California. It's all fair in level war. Also, number 3 on that list, the great Brandon Woodruff, Big C, Milwaukee. The man's playing amazing, but he's been overshadowed by King Giannis. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, he's going to be overshadowed by the rest of the National League, Charlton. Being in that small market, he's not going to get enough media play.
Yeah, not going to get enough media play. It's all fair in love and war. I want to just tell you, when you think about the AL Rookie of the Year, Aldis Garcia for Texas, that's a great stadium. It's a beautiful stadium. They can open and close that roof, and they're making some noise down there with that good old boy, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Garcia is one of those young guns in baseball, Charlton. As we look around and you know baseball is always going to be strong, you always have these young, exciting Latin players.
Yeah, always exciting, Big C. When you think about another great player, number 2, the great Casey Mize, Big C, for Detroit. What a great thing to have something in Detroit that actually can win now that Stafford's out of town, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, Cabrera now has a battery mate, Charlton, in Detroit, and hopefully he'll stay healthy and get some runs down the stretch.
Yeah, what about number 3, Luis Garcia, Houston? And that good boy is also very impressive, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, this is a team with Dusty Baker, Charlton, looking to get back to the World Series. They have all the attributes of a championship team once again.
Yeah, they really do. Everywhere Dusty goes, he's like that Rolex. He just keeps rolling because real Rolex, they don't tick. As I found out the hard way in New York City, that Rolex doesn't work anymore. It was ticking his way. I think it was on his last tick. If that makes sense to you, Big C, your thoughts?
Got to be careful what you buy on the street.
Not only did my hand turn green and my wrist turn green, and the Rolex doesn't work anymore. So much for a $25 Rolex in New York City. I thought I had a bargain. What a bargain, Big C. It's all fair in love and war. When you go back to the National League Rookie of the Year, number 1, Trevor Rogers for the Miami Marlins. What a beautiful city. In a horrible stadium. They should take the top off of that thing forever and let people see the sunshine, Big C. Your thoughts?
Yeah, but playing down there with the Marlins, Charlton, all your great play goes unnoticed because you have nobody in the stands to watch you.
They're out in Florida. When you go to Florida, you don't go to sit in the room. You go out to the sunshine to enjoy the sunshine, Big C. Let the sunshine in. The Miami Dolphins, when they were winning Super Bowls back in the day, they had the only undefeated NFL team. They didn't do it in a dome. When the Florida Marlins won World Series, they didn't do it in a dome. They did it out in the environment so people could come and feel like they could get some sunshine. That's the thing that's wrong, in my opinion, about the stadium down in Miami. It's all fair and level. You got to read the room. People go to Florida for the sun. When you think about number 2, in Anderson for Atlanta, that good boy is also up for Rookie of the Year, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he'll get more prime time with Acuna being hurt, Charlton, so he may sneak into that top slot.
Yeah, he may sneak into that top spot, but you can't sneak into that stadium. They have too much security. I had a good old boy tell me that one time. It's all fair and level war. But then I want to close out with Patrick Wisdom. And when you think about that, Big C, everybody has their own opinion about who's going to win. But Patrick's doing his thing this year, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, it comes down. We got 2 months left to go in the baseball season, and now it's time for those 2-month wonders to be on top of their game, Charlton, to separate from the rest.
Yeah, they got to be on top of the game. We're getting so close to football. I know a lot of people are looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Everybody's getting ready for kickoff. Are we ready for some football? Yes, we are. But before we get to the football, I want to bring up a thought about some African-American history. I love doing African American history because all life came from Africa. So it should not be held to just the month of February, the shortest month in the United States. It's all fair and level war, but African American history, when I think about it, the best of the best have come from historically black colleges and universities. Beyond the Ivy League, how HBCUs have groomed prominent politicians like the Vice President Kamala Harris, while Stacey Harris Abrams and others credit HBCUs with the political prominence. When you check out the HBCU alumni, you have Marlon Wayans, Big C, Howard University. He's a great actor and comedian, screenwriter, and also film producer. The guy's amazing, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, he got his break years ago, Charlton, in a movie called Hollywood Shuffle.
Yeah.
And since that, the Wayans have built a dynasty in entertainment.
Yeah, I remember watching the TV series In Living Color. That's also a Big C. Joyce M. Roche, Big C. Dillard University, CEO of Girls Incorporated, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, setting the trail, Charlton, being a mentor for many young black women across the United States.
Yeah, it really is. And when sometimes you get sick, you got to go see the doctor. Dr. Deborah A. Cole, Tennessee State University, president of Citizens Bank in the city of Nashville, Tennessee. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when we think about the mecca of black people, Charlton, all down through the South, when you have a black woman being the president of a major bank corporation, that's economic power, Charlton.
Yeah, the Black Wall Street had a lot of people, black Americans also, that have their own financial institutions before they were turned down because people didn't want to see you pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But you can be called a freak if you're a good athlete. If you build a great business, sometimes people want to burn it down. It's all fair level where people can Google the Black Wall Street. There's another great person that I really respect, Big C, Kasim Reed, Howard University, the mayor of the city of Atlanta, Georgia, which is actually, I guess, the African-American mecca of the United States. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, when you think about all that was involved with him in the city of Atlanta and how that city has grown expeditionally through his two terms.
Yeah, it's amazing. All people need is a chance to rise and shine. When you rise and shine, you have a chance. Big C, one of the greatest voices in the history of the universe. You think about the great Yolanda Adams, Texas Southern University, award-winning gospel singer, and there's something about her that she can just light the roof off of a song with her vocal cords alone. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, she started out in the R&B realm, Charlton, and she went back to gospel where her roots were, and she became an award-winning artist at that point.
Yeah, there's so many great songs like "Lifting Me Higher" and just keep. You know, you can win as long you can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. I mean, everybody can sing. Of course, I can't hold a tune compared to her, but she makes me think I can sing. I do that song all the time when I'm in the shower. It's all fair and level war. John W. Thompson, Big C, Florida A&M University, the first African-American chairman of Microsoft Corporation. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when we think about Microsoft, we think about Bill Gates. And yet there's an African-American at the helm of the largest computer corporation in the world, Charlton.
Ain't that something? It's all fair and level war. Hidden Figures Corporation style. Big C. Wilma Rudolph, Tennessee State University, world record holding Olympic track and field champion of the universe. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, Wilma Rudolph is such an inspirational story, Charlton. She was born with polio. She had to wear leg braces to straighten out her leg.
Wow.
And went on to become a world champion in track and field. Not only that, Charlton, she's the first African-American woman to play center court at Wimbledon and win.
Isn't that amazing? It's all fair and level well when you get a chance. All people want is to give people a chance. That's all we're saying. Give people a chance and give people a chance. Demetri Stockton, Big C, North Carolina A&T, actually North Carolina A&T State University chairman, president, and CEO of GE Asset Management. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when we think about the financial wealth around the world, Charlton, and how many black men and women are responsible for controlling that, it's inspirational.
It's very inspirational, especially when you read about it. And again, you're only going to hear about the sponsors on the Big C Sports Podcast because African Americans, too, collectively have the GDP of about the number 7 in the world if they were the sovereign nation in the United States alone. Sylvia Trent Adams, Big C, the great Hampton University, current acting Surgeon General of the United States of America. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, this is somebody who is the top medical officer of the United States, Charlton, an African-American woman.
All night long doing her thing, Big C. So medical science, please do not call her a freak. She's a champion and a very intelligent person. It's all fair level war. The great Bob Hayes, Big C, Florida A&M University, the first and only athlete to win an Olympic gold medal and also a Super Bowl, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he was also known as the world's fastest human. Bob Hayes won a gold medal in the Tokyo Olympics, Charlton, where the Olympics are going to be held again this year in 1960, and went on to win a Super Bowl championship and now inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame as a member of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's amazing. How about them Cowboys? It's all fair in level war. Now, one of my favorite singers, musicians, entertainers in the history of the universe. He likes to do his thing all night long, just like Big C Sports. You can listen to Big C Sports all night long because we're looped on every channel, about 11 different podcasts now. But the great Lionel Richie from Tuskegee University, award-winning singer, songwriter, and actor, and he's been doing his thing all night long. Big C, your thoughts?
So much great black history, Charlton, out of Tuskegee Institute. So much positive history as well as negative history.
Yeah, it's all fair and level war. There's a Tuskegee experiment where the United States government injected 400 African-American men with syphilis to see how they would respond. Also, the Tuskegee Airmen had the best fighting pilot unit than anyone has ever had in this country. Never lost a fighter, Big C, and oftentimes they're not paid much attention to throughout the country as they should be, the Tuskegee Airmen. There was a movie called Red Tail with the great Cuba Gooding Jr. I think everyone should watch that and get an idea of what it was like for black fighter pilots where they didn't even have freedom in the United States. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, but they had freedom in the air. They fought as admirably as any American has ever fought in military history.
Yeah, they did their thing, and they did it all night long, the great Lionel Richie. I wanna swing it back to when I was growing up. I always looked forward to waking up on those Saturday mornings so I could watch college football. It was always the USC Trojans with John McKay and the USC Trojans back in the day. I remember it was Anthony Davis that ran back the touchdown, and they beat Notre Dame. They were down, I think, 25-0 at halftime or somewhere in there, and they came back and won. I think it was 55-28, if that makes sense. But I remember that team and just watching. They were always on television, so I grew fond of watching the USC Trojans play. It's all fair in level war. But college football, I remember a game at Nebraska. They had a player by the name of Steve Taylor out of Edison High School in Fresno, and he played for Tom Osborne against Terry Donahue and the UCLA Bruins with Troy Aikman at quarterback. And Taylor threw for 6 touchdown passes. They were a run option team. I think they beat UCLA 42-27, but they were not expecting the run. Now, Troy Aikman played for the UCLA Bruins by way of Oklahoma and Barry Switzer, and Troy Aikman went on to become an NFL Hall of Famer. Taylor did not, Big C, but at the college level, there was no touch in Nebraska. Nebraska has hired Trev Alberts, a former All-American linebacker for the Cornhuskers, athletic director at the school, announced that Wednesday, Big C. Alberts is 50 years old and previously led the athletic department at Nebraska Omaha, the great Peyton Manning, Big C, playing at Nebraska from 1990 to 1993. Alberts won the Butkus Award, Big C, known for the great Dick Butkus as the nation's top linebacker in 1993. He was a consensus first-team All-American that year and was selected with the number 5 overall pick in the 1994 NBA NFL Draft. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at the Nebraska football program, they're trying to reach back into their history and trying to rekindle some of the greatness of the past when they hired Scott Frost, former All-American there, and now Trev Alberts as the athletic director. So that the football department is run by former Nebraska All-Americans.
Yeah.
But times have changed in the landscape of college basketball. They're no longer in the Big 8, they're in the Big 10. And it's a different type of athlete these days, Charlton, and those guys are going to have to do more than just try to rekindle old memories and recruit some top-flight athletes.
Yeah, they got to do that. Injuries limited Alberts to just, it was 3 NFL seasons with the Indianapolis Colts. He began a career as a broadcaster and spent 3 years at ESPN, and then Nebraska Omaha hired him as an athletic director in 2009. And again, when you go back to trying to I guess they call them the black shirts, Big C, for Nebraska, their first-team players and the guys that put in extra time and to become better Nebraska University players. But that's a program that used to be on par with what Alabama and Clemson is doing, but that was back under the days of Tom Osborne. They were always winning the Big 8 and either losing or winning the Orange Bowl. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, long before Tom Osborne, there was Bob Devaney, who who set the table at Nebraska to make them a national power. Actually, he won their first national championship when they knocked off Oklahoma, and Johnny Rodgers returned a punt for a touchdown, one of the most electrifying plays in college football history.
Yeah.
So this program goes back until the early 70s as a rich program in producing a lot of great athletes over the decades.
Yeah, they really have produced a lot of great athletes over the decades. I thought they made the wrong move by trying to join the Big Ten Conference. I know they did it when they felt that they had the chance to win the championship in the Big 12 or the Big 8 at the time, and they fixed it so they couldn't win it. I mean, that's just some talk that went on. So they left the conference. They were a bell cow for that conference financially, and they went on to join the Big Ten. And they just have never been welcomed in as the Brethren. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it's not about being welcomed in. You got to perform on the field.
Yeah.
It's not about the name on the jersey. It's about the heart inside the uniform, Charlton. And if you don't have the athletes to compete nowadays, you're just not going to win.
Yeah.
Universities win today because they have the best athletes and the best competitors. It's not about the name of a school any longer.
Yeah, well, it used to be the name of the school. That's how Alabama gets people down there, because they had such a name of winning and sending players on to play in professional football. Even a lot of guys from California would end up in Nebraska. There was a guy by the name of Coach McCartney that also won a national championship. Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, was the quarterback for the Colorado Buffaloes. He came out of Los Angeles, so they were about the name back then, and they were bringing people from California to help teams like Nebraska and also Colorado win the Big 8 championship and play for national championships. But those days have since gone. Nebraska's in the Big 10 and Colorado's in the Pac-12. It's all fair in love and war. But Big C, I'm going to do my best, and it may not be the best for everybody, but are you ready for some football? Everybody says they're ready for football, Big C, but are you ready for the football 3 weeks from tonight? Let the great Rod do it. Tonight. No, Rod. 3 more weeks, Rod. But tonight's the night, 3 weeks down the road, Thursday, August 5th, 8 o'clock p.m. East Coast time. The NFL is back in the opening game of the 2021 preseason. Are you ready for some football, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton is getting to that point. It's going to be an abbreviated preseason this year, only 3 preseason games. And so it's going to be a different look NFL going into it, Charlton. But it's all about who's going to be healthy at the start of the season. I know everybody's going to have a lot of predictions about who they want to see play and what games are going to be big. But it's going to be about who stays healthy to make a game exciting, Charlton.
Yeah, but we're going to have the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Big Ben and Roethlisberger. When you think about that, Big C, the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dallas is the #1 marketing sports franchise in the United States of America. The last time the Dallas Cowboys were in the Super Bowl, it was against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Steelers have been there more recently, but Dallas is still America's team, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, both of these teams have an illustrious Super Bowl history, and those are ancient days back when you think about when they played in the Super Bowl down in Tempe, Arizona, Charlton. And no players on the roster now were even around in the NFL during that time.
Yeah.
Both of these teams are basically in a rebuilding mode because who knows what Ben Roethlisberger is going to have as this season is going along. I know they're saying he's in the best shape ever of his career, but why are you waiting until you get the oldest to be at that point in your career, Charlton? And Dak Prescott's coming back off a horrific leg injury. Zeke Elliott, we don't know what he has left in his tank any longer, and how good is the Dallas Cowboys offensive line is going to be. Pittsburgh is going to have 4 new offensive linemen starting this year.
Yeah, I guess they're going to be also on the Hard Knocks. You know, Jerry Jones down there, he's like Dallas, J.R. Ewing at Ranch down at South Park Big C. He's not getting any younger, and he wants to win, and he wants to win now. But the Dallas Cowboys have as good a chance as anybody, at least in the NFC East, to try to at least win that division. But it may not. It's just not the strongest division in football. So it should be a good year for Dallas. Pittsburgh, unfortunately, Tom has never had a losing record, Big C, but if you look at that division, you look at Cleveland, them good old boys from Cleveland are going to most likely challenge for the division title. And then the Baltimore Ravens are always there knocking on the door with Superman Jackson. Cincinnati, not going to be a threat. But it seems like for the first time in many, many moves, Big C, Pittsburgh's going to be challenged to not finish last. That's what it feels like, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is a team that's completely on the rebuild when you look at Pittsburgh. They lost 4 starting offensive linemen They lost some critical defensive players, Charlton, linebackers, defensive back, and a lineman. So this is a team that's got to get adjusted to each other in a hurry going through training camp.
Yeah.
And when you have one less week of preseason games this year, Charlton, because the NFL is moving to a 17-game regular season, you know, everybody can predict going into the season what they expect for a team not to do.
Yeah.
But it's about staying healthy. We've seen that throughout every NFL season there ever been.
Yep.
The team with the least amount of injuries has the best chance of productivity. We saw that with Dallas last year when they lost Dak Prescott. He was on a record pace. He had thrown for more yards in the first 3 games of a season than any quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah.
He went down, and I don't think they threw for that many yards, Charlton, in the next 14 games without him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's all predicated on being healthy. That offensive line is not the offensive line they had 3 years ago in Dallas when Ezekiel Elliott was leading the league in rushing.
Yeah.
Now he can barely get to the line of scrimmage without fumbling the ball.
Yeah.
So it's about having the players in place that can make the play. Anticipation, I anticipate having great games throughout the NFL season, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's hard to predict beyond Kansas City and Tampa Bay right now.
Yeah, you know, Tampa Bay's loaded, Kansas City's loaded. It's hard to go back-to-back the 2 teams playing each other in the Super Bowl year after year, but it's all fair and level war. Carolina Panthers offensive tackle, you know, that good old boy, Taylor Morton, listen up, you offensive linemen, reached a 4-year, $72 million extension. That's for an offensive lineman that doesn't run the football. He's going to try to block to keep Sam Darnold healthy, Big C, and is getting $72 million 4-year extension, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Sam Darnold will make him look bad, Charlton. If he has any, bonuses in there for being an all-pro and not giving up sacks, I think he'll lose it with Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Well, he's smart. He signed the contract now, Big C. He didn't wait till the season began to sign the contract. He signed it now. It's all fair in love and war. Also, Richard Sherman been released today out of the state of Washington. He still has to deal with it, hopefully getting some mental health, because it's a total, anyone who knows how he's carried himself over the years being part of the NFL Players Association and all that, he's been such a sterling example of a gentleman. But, we talk about CTE, we know what happened to Junior Seau, and people want to throw guys under the bus when they make mistakes. But get someone some mental health checkup, not just Richard Sherman, but everybody goes through something. And I know, and I'm just pulling for the man and his family. I hope that all works out for the best, and everybody hopefully will have those same sentiments. Big C, I know it's a baseball-less day, and because of the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox, someone tested positive for COVID. I hope that works out. Our NBA basketball team, like Allen Iverson said, don't panic. It's just practice. You talk about practice, it's all fair and level war. But we do have a great NBA Finals. It's now the best of 3. It's all fair and level war. Big C, back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, tonight is a respite when it comes to sports here in America, so you get the chance to take the night off, go to bed early, and not worry about too many whistles ringing in your ear all night long.
Yeah.
But once again, I want to say thank you to our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, and first responders. They'll turn on some sirens later on tonight to help some people out, Charlton.
Yeah, it's all fair and level. And when you hear a siren, just pull over. Just pull over. It's all fair and level. But you don't have to pull over every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, where you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As my mama always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.